project 2? I think that's the question. So any other person wants to say something on project 2? Okay, we'll ask questions as we go along the line. So finally, we're in week 4. Tomorrow we'll be handling up this boot camp, and I really want to appreciate all of you that took your time to do the project, to do the classes, to watch the replays, to subscribe to the channel. It's going to just keep growing and get better. So as a cloud engineer, you know, I always make reference to you as a cloud engineer because I know the reason why you are here is that you are interested in cloud engineering and you want to be a cloud engineer. So I make reference to you and I see you as a cloud engineer. So as a cloud engineer, there was something Theodora said when she was talking that, oh, of course, she needed to, when she set up VPC and subnet and the whole networking stack before, she deleted it. But when she now needed to set up an EC2 instance, she needed to bring them up again. And now she has also deleted it. If I tell her to go and set up something for us to check something, she will have to go again and start recreating everything afresh. And if she has done project series, she will delete it. So it just kept mounting of that. At the end, the time it will take you to keep deleting resource, it's just better for you to just leave the resource running. But we both know that leaving the resource running is also a cost. And that's why there is, after all this we've done, like after we've done the whole deployment, the VPC, the EC2 instance, the RODS, after we've done a lot of that, right? Organizations also have this challenge whereby they will say, okay, provision this, you go and set it up. Data say, oh, I don't think we need this anymore. They will tear it down. Before you know again, I think we need this, you bring it up again. So those to and fro process, right, is kind of challenging, but we need them because, like I said, if you keep infrastructures running in the cloud, you pay for it, right? So that's why there's a new, it's not a new method. Like, okay, what is now the better way? That once I provision this thing or whatever it is I have it, I can tear it down anytime I want. And when I want to bring it up, it's just a click or 2 click of a button and everything is up as I expect. And if I want to make changes, I can easily make changes, right? So those are the areas we'll be looking at today. So for today, actually, we'll be looking at infrastructure as code. I know we've never made any mention of code in this class, but it's not difficult, right? I know most of you hear code and start fidgeting like, hey, I said she deceived us that there was not going to be code, and now she's talking about code, right? We are going to see together. We are going to use documentation to actually be able to see how on your own you can write this code. And even during interview, they ask you to share your screen, you can actually use documentation and it's totally acceptable. I've done interview whereby I needed to do some things on Terraform and I'm like, oh, for this I have to check the documentation, and they were fine by it. Provided you open documentation, you know how to use documentation because nobody's actually expecting you to cram all the Terraform code, right? So we'll be looking at IAC. First of all, we will know the difference between Terraform. I know most of you have heard Terraform on this call, or some of you have heard that word Terraform on this call, right? But we'll be looking at what is Terraform. Then we'll also be looking at CloudFormation, right? Then we'll actually look at how you set up environment and manage environment. Now, let me tell you one thing. As a cloud engineer, you'll be working with teams. So it's not just you working in isolation. When I mean working with teams, you are working in a sector whereby you are working with the developers, you are working with the architect, you are working with a lot of things. And most time when we start projects, right, you don't just start project. The developer does not just write the first code and push it directly to production for everybody to be using. That's not how it works. When this developer started the first code or whatever, you as a cloud engineer, you provision this infrastructure for them. You deploy this infrastructure for them. So that at that point, you call it, oh, this is just a development environment. We call it the dev or the development environment, right? Whereby the developers are the one pushing code. It's still almost set up, properly set up. They can see their changes. Even a stakeholder can see what they are doing, right? After they've done that, then you might be asked to set up another environment. In this time, it's called the UAT environment, right? Or either the UAT, so depending on the organization, that's where they can do either the user testing, or some call it the QA, the quality testing, or some call it staging, right? So depend on the organization. They can say, oh, we want you to set up another environment. So for example, the first environment, remember You set up an EC2 instance with auto scaling, with load balancer. You click all this thing, you set it up. And now developers are using it. And now they say we want exactly that same environment again. In this case, not just for dev work, but for testing, so that we'll be able to test, to properly test and make sure that to have our user integration test to make sure that everything is proper before we deploy it to production, right? So you still go to the staging again. You create everything you've created before. You create it again. You add all the pepper and salt, right? Then before you know again, they say, oh, we want another environment. We want the same thing. So it's like you are repeating and repeating yourself, right? It might not be bad if it's just a very small thing you are setting up. But when you are setting up a very large scale infrastructure, like you are tracking a lot of things, you are setting up how many load balancer, setting up how many Kubernetes cluster. I think it was easy because you were able to just set up one or two EC2 instances. But in this case, with 100 EC2 instances running, you discover that it's so stressful and so cumbersome, right? And that's why the workaround is, okay, this thing we are doing, click here, click here, click here. Can we actually write a code and keep it somewhere so that anytime we need this thing, if we deploy that code, it brings it up and we can destroy it anytime we want. So that's where that word, oh, infrastructure as code, as an infrastructure, IAC, that's in, where am I now? Okay, where's my mouse? Good. So that's where this whole infrastructure as code actually comes into play. So today we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at different environments I've just explained to you. Then we'll be looking at CI/CD. I know some people are like, hey, she has entered DevOps. Yes, as a cloud engineer, you're also supposed to know this, right? So we'll be looking at CI/CD. CI/CD simply means continuous integration and then continuous deployment, right? I'll be using GitHub Actions just to see how we can actually design a little CI/CD and you actually push it. It's actually very cool. So this one actually talked about when we talk of pipeline, we'll be deploying a little pipeline for us to actually be able to see what this is all about. Then of course our lab will set up that same VPC we've set up. But instead of going to click here and click here for VPC, we're going to write the VPC as code, right? And we're going to, you see that EC2 we've done, we're also going to write our EC2 as code, and we're quickly going to set up a CI/CD to look at it. So we have a lot to do, so I'll be very, very running today. If you miss anything, just go back to the recording. Then tomorrow, we'll be looking at well-architected framework. Most of you might have heard of it. What is well-architected framework? Security, right? Remember from the beginning of this bootcamp, till now, we've been talking about the importance of security. So we'll also be looking at security. Then cost. How do you control cost? How do you set alarm? Then, of course, how do you budget? You understand? You can say that, I don't want to use this more than this budget. In case my budget is getting to this amount, alert me. Let me come and see in case I've left something wrong that I ought to have left wrong. Do you get? So we'll also be looking at labs around budgeting. So at the end of tomorrow, you should be able to do your week 4 project and also be able to do your capstone project. I will appreciate, you know what, you can attend classes, fine, but I will appreciate if you really get hands-on on those projects. Because if you don't get hands-on, whatever it is I'm saying now, you will forget it. Do you get what I mean? And it's like you never did anything, to be honest with you. And I won't be happy because it's not a good use of my time at all, right? So that's all. Let us move forward. I hope we understand what I just said. So our introduction, we said that modern organizations rely on infrastructure automation to deliver software quickly, securely, and affordably. In a nutshell, right? I've explained all what we have done, but I know I'm fast. In a nutshell, any organization you find yourself, either you are working, and if you notice since we started this bootcamp, I'm not just impressing the mindset that the only way you can use this knowledge is when you get a job. Fine, it's the easier way, to be honest, because it's kind of a quick carrot. You have this knowledge, you offer it, they pay you. But I'm also wanting us to have a shift of mindset of, fine, it's not just me getting a job, but what can I also use this thing for? Because I also understand that most of us are entrepreneurial in nature. So don't just see it as if I'm learning this to get a job. And if I don't get a job, meaning the whole effort is futile. But, oh, I'm learning this because I'm developing myself, right? I can use it to get a job and I can also use it to create a job. So depend on your capacity, right? So when I say modern organization, the organization can be the organization you are working for, or it can also be the organization that you yourself, you started, right? So we rely on infrastructure automation. What do you mean by, when you say automation, meaning like automatic. So does this thing really automatically create itself? The answer is no. But you as a cloud engineer, you are the one that is in charge of automating infrastructure creation. So that when I say, oh, I need VPC, I need this and this, before you go and start creating and clicking and clicking and clicking, someone will just run one code and the whole infrastructure is up and running, and you on one code and the whole infrastructure is down again. So that's what we'll be looking at. So we are going to be focusing on define infrastructure declaratively and manage multiple environments. So we're not just focusing on just infrastructure, but also how can we use to manage multiple environments, like you will see in the normal production settings. I told you this is not just this beyond tutorial. Then we can automate our build test. We can automate our build test and deployment using GitHub Actions, right? Then, of course, we'll also secure and audit your AWS with CloudTrade. So we will enable CloudTrade, but we'll disable it because it's also so that we not incur costs. Then we should also be able to control our cloud cost. I know many of you are seeing some cost on your dashboard. Although with the AWS credit you have, we should be able to cushion everything. Okay, so what is IAC? IAC stands for infrastructure as code, right? IAC, infrastructure as code. And it's a way whereby we manage infrastructure. So you can see infrastructure managed as machine readable configuration file that provision, update, and destroy resources automatically. Remember, when you created this C2, first you created this C2, you're happy you created this C2, you do screenshots, you deleted it. As you are now, if I say I want this C2 again, now you go create this C2, do whatever it is, you delete it, right? But one thing, when you write it as a code, you said, oh, click here, click here. When you write it as a code, you are actually doing the automation, whereby you can easily set up this EC2 instance, you can update it, and you can easily destroy it, and you can easily increase the number that you can set up. As well as if I say set up 50 EC2 instance, right? You are going to be clicking here, clicking here, clicking here, clicking here, especially when they have some different configurations, right? You will not spend the whole day or the whole week because you are creating 50 EC2 instance. Meanwhile, if you actually have it as a code, all you just have to do is just to tweak the value files for whatever configurations, and you are good to go. Okay, so what are the benefits? Consistency, right? The truth is, the way you created the first VPC might be different from the way you created it. Even if it's the same way you created it, most times it's prone to error. It can be just one spelling error, can be just one cider error, can be just one this. Before you know, error is everywhere. So you doing things manually is actually very prone to error. But once you've written it as code, you can see the code. Once it's correct, it formats, like you did a lot of things. Once it's working, and you can replicate it over time. Then version control. Version control is very good. And although we didn't cover version control, that's Git in this bootcamp, but we are just going to touch on it a little, right? So version control is whereby when you make change to a code, you can revert back to the previous one, right? Everybody also see the changes you make, because you can say that, oh, before this is what you wrote, now this is the upper one you wrote. So it's kind of very, very easy to be able to, like, who did what was added, what was subtracted, what broke this, because Git is actually enables to be able to see those changes, right? Then idempotency and immutability. That's you are able to get the same results anytime you run this Terraform code, right? They also for documentation purposes, right? You're also able to use it for documentation purpose. So Terraform is actually a company is a product from a company called HashiCorp. You might have heard of them, right? But so they are the owner of Terraform. They have other products. They have Packer, they have HashiCorp Vault, they have a lot of other products. But CloudFormation is AWS native. AWS are the owner of CloudFormation. That's how they even want you that if you want to use infrastructure as code, that's how they want you to use their system. But the only thing is that CloudFormation you mostly use to provision AWS resource. Terraform, if you know Terraform, you know Terraform. You can use it for Azure, you can use it for AWS, you can use it for Google Cloud, you can use it for most cloud, you can even use it for a lot more resource that you never believe that cloud. So they are a provider to a lot of other companies, not just AWS. Unlike CloudFormation, that is mostly AWS, right? Then so for scope, like I said, it provides for Azure, GCP, all of them, even software as a service and all. Why CloudFormation is just only AWS. For language, right? For Terraform, you need to know HCL. No, don't worry. HCL is a very, very simple language. You know, the only programming language that you can learn in 30 minutes is HCL, right? So because it's written in a is very simple, right? Then a cloud configure and cloud foundation, cloud formation is written in either YAML or in a JSON file. So it's very, very also simple. Then state, there's a way you manage your state. You have to manage your state file. Like when I mean is whenever you provision this infrastructure using code, there has to be something that remembers what is it that the code provisioned, so that if you make any change or alteration, it's able to know why. And I will explain to you. Don't worry, when we get to answer, you will see this better, right? Then also for portability, right? It works across cloud, but not automatically portable. But for portability, CloudFormation is very portable on AWS. Now, we also talk of different environments, and I've explained this to you before, right? That most time you create an infrastructure for developers to work. Later they'll say, oh, okay, the developers work is good enough. Come and create another environment so that we can start testing this thing. We don't want to test it on the developer platform because they are keep pushing changes anyway. We want that when they've done a particular sprint or they've done this particular milestone, we want to also push the code to another environment and seriously test why whatever they are pushing doesn't break it. So you provision the staging environment. Later they say, okay, now that everything is set, we want to start serving customer. We want this code to be deployed in a production grade scale. You see, go create the same resources you created first time, second time, third time. Now the time, the man-hour, and like I said, prone to error, they are all there. But when you have this thing as code, you already have the code. All you just have to be changing just value files. So maybe for dev, you just need an EC2 instance of T2 micro. Then for staging, you might need something higher. Say, okay, T2 medium, for example. Then for production, you might use T2 large. Do you get what I mean? All you just have to do is just changing that value, but it's still the same because you don't need, all you just have to do is to keep applying the code and you're able to actually see that code. Okay, then I talked about that we're going to also be quickly looking at CI/CD, and I said it's continuous integration, right? Continuous delivery, right? Or continuous deployment, right? So continuous integration means that as you are making this change, and I will show us as we are making this change. So for example, the lab we're going to be doing today, we're going to be setting up VPC, and after we set up VPC, then later we're going to be provisioning EC2 instance on that VPC, right? So you can see that first of all, if I can write a code that set up VPC, I will save the code in my GitHub, right? After I save the code in my GitHub, then what else do I want to do again? I want to add another layer. I will add another layer, save it up again. Add another layer, save it up again. Do you understand? So as I'm adding this layer, I'm running the pipeline, I'm running the code, it's deploying it. You are seeing it, you are happy. We'll quickly do that today. So then continuous delivery, like extend CI by packaging the artifacts, deploying them to staging environments. Releases remain deployable on demand with manual approval, right? You don't just, most time companies don't automate deployment to production. It still requires manual approval to make sure that there's a human in the loop, right? To be able to like, okay, fine, it's good. Then continuous deployment is every change that passes automated tests, it's automatically released to production without human intervention. So why this one is going through serious automation pipeline to be able to go without human this one actually require a human approval for it. And also AWS also have a service, although that's by the way, AWS has the service code pipeline, code build, code deploy that actually does CI/CD, but we are not covering that. We're going to be using GitHub Actions because the chances that most companies you get to work with uses GitHub Actions is higher, right? Okay, so let's go. What are traditional versus modern pipeline? What is traditional pipeline? Like frequent merge and manual integration, like you merge, you push, you integrate it. Then long testing cycle and big release, you wait to finish the whole code before you release it. Then manual deployment and high risk. After everything, you click here, click here, click here. Then I think sysadmin were the one that were really mostly doing the job, right? But now with modern CI/CD, frequent commit. As you made this change, you commit it, you see the change happen. So you do what called frequent commit, right? Then you build and deploy to staging automatically. So this whole process is automatic, right? Then continuous delivery and or deployment to prod, depending on what your company is implementing, right? So what our pipeline stages, we have the source code, which is our GitHub Actions, we have it. Then we have where we build or test or compile or do all of that. Then we plan, review whatever it is we've done. Then we deploy to production. Okay, so for our Terraform, what we're going to be doing, we're going to have the Terraform source code. Then, of course, we can format, we can test, whatever. Then we run plan. Then we actually apply, right? And we'll see that it creates those resources. Okay, so then how do we connect? Because I've been saying this, how does the code knows the AWS account to deploy itself in? How come that if I write a code and I just push the code, because I've been using the word push the code, how come it does not find yourself, the code does not find itself in your account? How come it knows my account? Because we configured it to know the account to deploy to. So if we are using GitHub Actions, you can actually use AWS secret key and access key, or you can actually use what we call AWS IAM role, which is the more secure one, right? Because with secret key and access key, people can have access to your secret key and access key, and you give your secret key and access key a great permission, then your account is in trouble, right? But if you use IAM role, it's like you are saying that it's only GitHub Actions can actually assume this role to be able to create resource on our AWS. Okay, I hope that is clear about that. So AWS, like GitHub Actions, can assume AWS roles via the OIDC Connect rather than storing access key, right? I know IDC token is exchanged for short-lived credentials using AWS Action and this, right? So I'll walk us through how we can just configure it and we'll be able to actually see that. Okay, then what are the benefits? You don't have, like I said, you don't have any long-lived credentials. Is you can give a fine-grained IAM permission per environment. Then automatic credential rotation. So it automatically rotates that credential. So it's not a long-lived credentials, right? So what are the deployment flow? Like I said, you create the development environment. After everything is fine, you can move to staging. Now you see this staging is not an hard rule. Depend on the organization, to be honest with you. Some call it staging, some can call it QA, some can call it even pre-prod. Do you get? Some can call it UAT, but whatever flow. Some company have two environments, some company are like three environments, some company from dev you deploy straight to production because they are trying to save cost. Meanwhile, some company, like the company I work with, I think we have about 4 or 5 environments. We have the dev, we have the QA, we have the staging 1, staging 2, then we have the pre-prod before. Do you get what I mean? So depending on how intensity, they also want to test the application before they get it out to the customer, right? And when you are doing that, you should be able to manage state files separately for each of these environments. Okay, yeah, I know I've rushed through it, but we will understand it better when we actually start our hands-on lab. And I want us to give time for our hands-on lab so that we'll not be doing halfway hands-on lab. Any questions so far? Any question? Are we together? Any question, please? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, ma, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Any
No question.
Okay, while we move on to the lab, how many of you have used Terraform before? If you've used Terraform before, either give me a thumbs up, or you have idea of Terraform before, give me a thumbs up. Good. Blessed have used Terraform. Is it only Blessed? Okay. Okay, Eden has also used Terraform before. Okay, and that's Ernest. Okay, that's good. So at least we have class rep, right? So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we're actually going to go through Terraform configuration. We'll start. So you can work on your local, right? And you can also work on you can work on your local, and you can also work remotely. So I'm going to work on my local. How many of you have VS Code? I'm going to start. Okay, oh yeah, sharing. Thought I was sharing. Let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, how many of you have VS Code? I'm going to start VS Code, right? Then we are just going to go from the beginning of creating a folder, trying to see what we have. Okay, so I have my VS Code release. Okay, I'm going to try and zoom out so that you see better. Let me know if you can see better. Am I zooming in or zooming out here? Okay, so I don't have any folder here, right? So I can actually open a folder and we create a folder, and we're just going to call it get techie IAC, right? That's what I'm going to call it, right? So you can see I want to create a folder, but I don't have a folder here. So I can just put the folder where I can easily sit and delete it. So you know that I don't want to use any of this folder. I can just right click inside here and click on new and click on the folder, right? And I'm going to call the folder get techie IAC. So this is going to be an open folder, and I'm just going to select this folder, right? So now that I've selected the folder is going to load here. You can see I have a folder, but there is nothing in it, right? So yeah, I trust this. So while that is being done, we are going to go to Google, right? So let's go to Google, and we are going to use documentation. I'm walking you this way of using documentation so that when during interview you will know what to do, because you might find yourself doing some interview, right? And then so I have Google here, right? So we're just going to do Terraform. Right, so we're going to do Terraform. So this is it. I told you it's from HashiCorp, right? So I'm going to click on it. Let me zoom out so that you see also. Can you see? Well, we want Terraform, right? So we can see this is funny enough. They have Terraform Cloud that you can use to manage your state and all. But what we want is actually Terraform documentation. So let's just go back to Terraform documentation, right? And not just for for AWS, right? Because I told you they have Terraform for everything, right? So we're just going to go to Terraform. Look at it. AWS provider Terraform, right? So I'm going to click on this. Let me zoom out again for us to see it clearly. It's already zoomed out. Yeah, it's already okay. It's already zoomed out. Okay, so you see, this is an AWS provider. They will guide you on how you can actually write code and all. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to what do we want? We want VPC, right? We want to create VPC first, right? So if you search VPC, you see I typed it here, but there are a lot of VPC. See API gateway, VPC for API gateway and all. But I'm actually looking for the very, very simple VPC, right? So I'll go down. This is my VPC, which is Virtual Private Cloud, right? And these are the resources I can actually have on VPC. Can you see? So VPC flow log, all of that. So this is my AWS VPC. So I'm going to click on it. And see, they're just going to tell me that for me to create a VPC, right? I just need this. I need to pass the CIDR. Remember we did something about CIDR the last time, that if I have this, I can actually use to create a VPC. They also told you about tag, right? In case I want tag, I can actually pass in the tag here, right? So this is actually how you create a VPC. You can see, even on the interview, you can still just grab this code and paste. They are okay with it because they want you to be able to understand configuration. Then you can still do some touch things with it. So you can see there are also different ways of creating it. But when you create a resource like this, when you have a resource like this, it will always tell you what we call the argument reference. Can you see this page? Meaning there are some things that when you are creating, you must pass. It's very important for you to pass that argument. So imagine they are telling you that even region is optional, right? That if you are creating a VPC, region is optional. Are you seeing now? But you already know that because you are using Terraform, the region you configure it to go to, that's the region it will go to, that's your credentials to go to, right? So you have region, but you should provide region. Even they are saying CIDR block is optional. Can you see? Meanwhile, you need CIDR blocks. If not, you just have an empty VPC, right? So they will tell you things that are optional, but they will tell you the things that are also required. Do you understand? They will tell you the things that are required that you must pass in for it to work. So this is just documentation. And for you to know that you don't even need to, just need to understand documentation, I'm just going to grab this. So you see AWS VPC, and I'm going to grab this piece VPC, but I want my own to be tagged so that I'll be able to know that this is the name of my VPC, right? I'm going to remove this tenancy. It doesn't even matter, you put it, don't put it. As long as I'm not changing the tenancy, it's just going to be this, right? It's going to be a default tenancy. So I'm just going to click on this copy, right? I'll come back to my VS Code, right? On my VS Code, no issue, okay. On my VS Code, remember where is it? Remember I have this. So I'm just going to click on here, and I'm going to say main, like that's the main file, right? My entry file. But what makes it a Terraform is the extension. For Terraform, the extension is TF. Are you seeing now? Terraform. So when I do main.trf, it recognizes it as Terraform. So if you are just starting, another thing you can just do is to install Terraform extension. I don't know if you have used VS Code before, right? But if you've not used VS Code before, if you download VS Code, you come here, you will see extension. If you click on this extension, you can actually search for Terraform, and it will give you Terraform extension. Are you seeing now? If you search for Terraform, I've already installed it. That's why it's not giving me, it's not telling me to install. I've already installed this Terraform. Why do you need to install Terraform? It's not that if you don't install Terraform, it will not work. If you don't install the extension, it will not work. But for you to even be able to carry this out, you must have Terraform on your machine. That is, you must install Terraform first on your machine to be able to even do all of this. What I'm saying is that you have to come to Google and type, if you are new to Terraform, you have to type install Terraform, right? And if you do install Terraform and you go to their page, it actually tell you how to install Terraform based on the operating system you are using. If you are using Windows, if you are using Mac, it actually guides you through how to install Terraform, right? So look at it. If you are using Mac, very simple. Just do brew tab, copy this and paste on your terminal, right? And do this, you'll be able to install Terraform. If you are using Windows and you have Chocolately enabled, just use Chocolately for your Windows, right? So, okay, Ashiko does not maintain Chocolately. So it just tell you how you can go through it and how to verify it. Then also, if you are using Linux, this is what you need to install. I think on Windows, you can even use scoop install Terraform and you have Terraform installed. What I'm telling you that if you don't have Terraform installed and you try to do anything Terraform, it's going to fail. But once you have Terraform installed and you come back to your IDE, you can now install the extension. The extension is that it's going to give you a very nice IntelliSense, meaning all those underlining, and in case any code is wrong, it's able to easily tell you, flag it by underlining and like, this your code is wrong, so that you not be in a debugging mode, right? It's not hard. Please don't run away. I'm begging you. It's not hard. Then how do you know if you have Terraform installed? You see this your VS Code. We want to access the terminal, which is the command line, right? When I see this place, I'm just going to click on this to bring up my terminal for me, right? I'm just going to drag it down a little. So I can actually have my terminal down, and now where I'm writing my code up, right? So when my terminal comes up, I just want to check if I have Terraform on my machine, right? So how do I check? I'll just do Terraform, then version, right? So if I do Terraform version, you can see I have Terraform on my machine. Can you see Terraform v1 1.13.3? If any of you are following, if you do Terraform version, if you don't have Terraform, it will tell you that it doesn't even know this word. Do you understand? It's not able to. It's telling me this version of Terraform I have, but I can update because my Terraform is out of date. I can actually update from to version 14.6. Meanwhile, I'm seeing 13.3. That's because this is just my personal system and I don't really use it much for stuff like that. Is that okay? So you are supposed to also have the updated version of Terraform. So I can either go and download it, or I update it, or what. But we don't want to waste unnecessary time on this, right? So you can see I've created a folder, a file called main.cf, and I'm going to come here and I'm just going to paste this code. So see what I'm telling you, that if it's not correct, it's just going to underline for you. So if I do name, my system is actually very slow, right? And if I save it now, it's supposed to tell me that it's supposed to underline that there's nothing like name, that should make it name. It just help you so that in case you have some typo error, it's able to quickly see. So I'm just going to change it back to name. Funny enough, with this code, are you getting that? So I can leave the tenancy as before, but for you to know that this is the VPC we are creating, is it VPC now? For you to know that this is VPC we are creating, I'm going to tag it properly. I'm going to get techie VPC, right? I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to go back and log into my AWS account. Is that okay? So I'm going to go back to I'm going to come here and I'm going to log into my AWS account. I hope I have AWS here. console.aws.com. So I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to go to my VPC. No, this is not the account I want. I hope this is it. Let me see. There's one I'm not using. Good. Yeah, that's good. So you will see that if I come to my VPC, I don't really have any VPC. I've removed the VPC. That's what I mean. So if I come to, oh, do I remove this? I think the last week's project, I didn't even clean it up. But let's see how it goes. Are we following at all? Okay, I didn't clean up last week's project for our incur cost. So okay, but yeah, so the VPC we have here is Get Techie Week 3 VPC, right? So we are going to call our own Get Techie Week 4 VPC for you to see, right? So we have this VPC, that's fine, but we'll come back here and just make it Get Techie Week 4 VPC. As simple as this. This is the code. Imagine, is it hard? You people should judge it now. Is it hard? So I will come here. Now that I've added this code, right? I'm just going to do the basic minimum, like I said, right? But before I can even run this code, I need to make sure Terraform understands the provider I'm using. So I'm going to go back to Terraform. How do I make it know my provider, right? So I'm going to go back to our Terraform documentation. Then I'm going to, where is it now? Where are we? Terraform documentation. Okay. I'm going to go back to our Terraform documentation, right? And I'm just going to search here provider so that you tell me how to do provider for AWS, right? So if I search provider, I should be able to see AWS provider. Okay, so AWS provider, where is it? AWS provider, resource tagging, AWS provider, where is it? Version, oh, they're in different version. This version upgrade. I just want the provider blocks, just let me see. There's no provider block here. Oh my god. I'm coming, I'm missing the data cognito EC2 Elastic IAM. Come on, give me a provider. AWS Summer IAM provider. Okay, yeah, it should be workspace provider. Let me see. No. This for web. Okay, so you can configure providers like this, but this is actually not the provider I want. I'm coming. Where is AWS provider? No, let's just Google it. AWS provider Terraform. So it's like, how do you declare AWS provider now? Is that no way? Okay, so this is the code for provider, right? So what it's simply saying is that you are telling Terraform that you are going to be using AWS. Because we have provider for AWS. the way you declare provider for AWS is different from the way you declare provider for Azure. It's different from the way you declare provider for every other cloud or SaaS, right? So this is how we declare provider for AWS. So we are going to say, oh, it's Terraform, right? But who is the provider? It's AWS. What is the source? It's HashiCorp AWS. What is the version? We're using this version, right? Then this is actually where you specify your region. Configure the AWS provider. So provider AWS, which region? So is this region that will determine where I'm actually going to be deploying my resources to. Do you understand? Then you see, I can now start creating VPC and a lot of that. Do you understand? So I'm going to pick this latest version. This is for version 0.0 and later. So I'm just going to copy this provider and I'm going to put it on, either I put it on top, or let me just show you the best practice, but we're not just after tutorial. I'm going to actually have a file and I'm going to call it provider dot, I told you, for it to be a Terraform, it has to be .tf, right? And I'm going to paste this here. Then I'm going to remove this block. So my region is actually EU. We've been using a EU West 2, right? That has been our region that we have been using. So this is what you need. So with this now, right? You see these two code I have. Or I just have to come. I will come to this my terminal. I hope we are still following. That's, you can see I'm actually navigated into the get tech here, meaning it's seeing this folder, right? If I list, for you to know it's seeing those two folders. If I do ls, can you see it's in my main.tf and provider.tf. So I'm just going to come here. Then I will do what we call Terraform init, meaning I'm initializing Terraform, right? Terraform init. So if I do Terraform init, it's going to initialize, it's going to understand that, oh, this person has a provider. There another thing, I can easily do this because I'm assuming I've configured my credentials on this. I don't even know the credential that is on this terminal. I've not used this terminal in a while, but I'm assuming that I configured the credentials here. Like I've configured the secret key and access key here. But if you are starting, how do you go about that? You have to go to your AWS. Let me show you. You have to go to, I hope the information is not too much. I hope you are still following me. So you have to go to your AWS. We've opened, I thought we've opened it. Yeah, you have to go to AWS, right? When you come to AWS, go to your IAM, right? You go to your IAM. We've talked about IAM before. You are going to your user. But in this case, you want credentials for your user. Because the credential you have, when you created the user, you know you have username and password. Those credentials was for you to be able to, for you to be able to interact and click here and click here. But we have grown, right? We are past that stage of click here, right? We are now in the stage of we want to work with terminal. So in as much that we say that credential, so if you see, if I come here, click here, I have my, because you see, this was the credential I used to log in. You can say I logged in 6 minutes ago, right? If I click on, oh, this account is long, can you imagine? So if I click on this, my user now, right? I have the username and password for this. But what I want to do from terminal, and username and password is not going to serve me. So I actually want credential. You see this security credentials, I'm going to click on it, right? Then you will go down. For those of you, you are supposed to enable MFA. This is just because it's just a training account. That's I didn't kind of secure it. Then if you go down, you are going to create secret key and access key. You can only create 2 secret and access key per a username. And if you can see here, I've actually created, I think I created this one almost 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, or close to 2 years ago, right? Then this one, I think I created it 30 something days ago. So I'm assuming this should be the one I have. Are you seeing? I'm assuming this should be the one I have on the terminal, but I'm just going to. So what you would have just done is to come and click on create secret key and access key. It's going to give you two. It's going to give you 2 number, like 2 random looking number. This is the secret key, right? It looks like this. Then the access key, you will download it, because if you don't copy it, as I am now, if I didn't save any of this access key anyway, I can't have access to it again. If you are not using it again, just come and deactivate it. Do you understand? So this one, last week service IAM, created 34 days ago. So you can actually see the auditing of all this, right? So it's when you copy the secret key and access key, you will now come to your oh, I've not used this thing for a while, so it's taking time. So you now come to your terminal, right? Let me show you that. I'm just going to open another terminal so that for those who are starting afresh, you will now come to your terminal. So let's assume I'm just starting a new terminal. You are going to come here and do AWS configure, right? You are going to do AWS configure. Then when you press or enter, it's going to ask you, okay, fine, you want to configure. What is your, can you see now? It's now ask you AWS secret key, you paste it, AWS access key, you paste it. Do you understand? Do you have AWS? Because I don't think I even have secret key and access key here. Okay. I don't think I have here because it's supposed to show an ID that is already existing here. But let's go back to this place and see. Okay, so I've done Terraform init, right? So it initiated the Terraform successfully. Then the next thing I want to do is Terraform plan. What is plan? Terraform plan allows you to be able to see what you want Terraform to create. So it's going to tell you what you want to create. So I'm going to do Terraform plan, right? So when I do Terraform plan, it's actually going to tell me, oh, this is what I plan to create based on this code that is in main. And the code that is in main is just is a VPC, and we are tagging that VPC get taking week 4. So with Terraform plan, it's actually going to check, okay, what am I going to create? It's going to check if I have something like that before. Again, it's going to check against it. And if it's able to reach out to my account and all, we have plan. Now, there's no state, so it's not going to use any state. It's going to tell me, oh, this is what you have. Do you get what I mean? I know I'm bottling up the information, but I really want you to get it, right? So for some of you, see, Terraform encounter an error while generating this plan. No valid credential source. Meaning, you see, this my what's it called now? This my laptop. I don't have any AWS credentials on it. So we're in luck. We're all going to configure AWS credentials together. And because I cannot remember, let me see. Because I cannot remember whatever credentials I have before. Can you see? I cannot remember. So for easy access, so that I'll be able to easily delete it, I'm going to come to IAM. I'm going to create a user. Again, I'm going to, I'm going to come and create another user, and I will call it get techie week 4, so that I can easily delete it, right? Week 4 user. Now, remember we talked about how you create user, but you see this, I'm not going to give this get techie week 4 user console access. Maybe this person will not be able to log into this place and do anything. See, no console access. I'm going to do it on next. I should add the person to a group. I can just add them to an admin group because I don't want to start doing fine-grained access. But this is when you start doing your fine-grained access. So I can add them to the admin group. I'll click on next again, right? I can tag the user, or I'll just create user. Now I've created this user, but I've created this user called get techie week 4 user. This person cannot even do anything. The person does not have access to console. They can't log in anything. But that's still fine because I want to use this person to work more from the command line. So the person cannot have access to console, but they can work from command line. I'll come to credentials, security credentials. Can you see? I will go down. Can you see? So far, this person does not have any access key. I'm going to click on create access key. I want to use it in command line. Can you see command line interface? That's where I want to use it from. So I'm going to click on it. You can research others. Then I'm going to say I understand, because it's going to tell me it's risky. If anybody have access to it, they have access to your account. It's like creating username and password for your account anyway. So I'm going to say, fine, that's good. I'm okay with that. So I'm going to next this. I should describe it. So I can just say for terminal Terraform training, so that we'll know what I'm using it for. Then I'm going to create secret key and access key. Can you see? This is my access key. Can you see? This is my secret key. I thought it just doesn't show. So if you want to really keep it so that you can use it, you see this download CSV. You can just click on download CSV and it will download it into your machine, into your laptop for you. So I'm going to just copy it from here. I'm going to click on copy. Remember, I told you from your terminal, if you run AWS configure, it will ask you for secret key ID. So I'm going to paste my secret key ID here. Can you see it? I'm going to press enter. Don't worry, you can see it in the recording because after this class, I'm deleting it. That's why I'm not tying it to my own name, right? Then you go back again. then you get the secret access key. You click here to copy, right? Then you come back again, you paste it, right? Then you press enter. Now, what is your default region? I want EU, right? West 2, because that's the region I've been using, right? I want EU West 2. Then after the default region, if you ask me what format do I want, for now, I'm just going to leave it, right? The default, I think the default is always JSON format if I don't take it. So now I've configured credentials on this. If I go back here now, remember it threw an error because it couldn't find any credentials. So I'm going to clear this and I'm going to do Terraform plan again. Let us see if it's able to now pick up the credentials I have and is able to work with it. So any questions so far, please? Any question? Let's go, please.
Hiya. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Let's go.
Yeah, so I noticed you are running it directly from your
Terminal.
PowerShell.
Yeah.
So I thought you were supposed to be connected to a Linux VM or something, a Linux server.
Okay, no. You can see I'm even running from my Windows terminal machine, right? Yeah. So yeah, we are doing this because at the end, in a workplace as an engineer, you won't do this. I want you to understand this because we are moving to pipeline. That's why we have to introduce CI/CD. So you as an engineer, you will write this code and you guess what? You have to push to Git. Anytime you write your code, you push to Git. As you push it to Git, you've configured Git for CI. So as you push it to Git, this sees that you have a change. This runs, as it runs the pipeline, it deploys that thing. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I know. So I just wanted to confirm. You can use PowerShell.
Yes, you can use PowerShell. Just make sure you have AWS CLI installed on your machine. If you have AWS CLI installed on your machine, then you'll be able to do the configuration. Yes, terminal works on your yeah, it works on your terminal. It doesn't. This is PowerShell. This is Windows, right? So yes, it does. So now it has planned. Look at it. Say plan 1 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. What is it adding? What is it creating for me? It's going to be creating AWS. It's going to be creating AWS VPC for me, right? It's going to say, okay, I don't know the ARM, but this is the CIDR block of your VPC, and every other thing you will be able to know it once it's applied. So we can just do Terraform apply, right? So we do Terraform apply, and when we do this, it's going to ask us, are you sure you want to apply these changes? Are you getting now? And we are going to say yes anyway, right? So remember, we've been to the account before. We only have one VPC. Can you remember? So we have one VPC. So don't think I've done one or zero that I've done. I've run to quickly pause the video and created the VPC, and I want to make you believe that it's the code that created it, right? So that's just by the way, right? So if you come here, I actually have one VPC. Can you see? That's with 3. That's it, right? So let's go back to our terminal, right? So we have our terminal. It's saying, oh, you want to, it knows that it's a serious action you want to do. Do you want to perform these actions? Like Terraform will perform this action? Only yes. So if I do yes, and because it's VPC is actually very easy to create. Can you see creating? It has created. And now I have my VPC ID. So I can even have my VPC ID without even going into the console. Now let us go to console and see if really this was created. I come to the console, it's not there. I refresh and I have what? My second. Can you see? Get Techie week 4. Do you understand it now? Are we together? Are we together, please? Okay. So this is actually how. And the beauty of this is when I'm now leaving, if I don't want it again, once I do Terraform destroy, it will ask you, are you sure you want to destroy? I'll say, yes, I don't want it anymore. Please destroy it for me, right? It's going to wait. It's going to plan. You want to destroy it? Fine. I destroy it. I go back. It's no longer there. But the beauty of it is that I have this code, right? I have this code. So do you want to destroy? I'll say yes. Oh, there's something I forgot to show you. I have this code. It's destroyed. If I go back, Now we need to move fast. If I go back, refresh this, it's gone. Can we see now? So that's actually what infrastructure as code does. Now we want to automate this process. You can see I quickly did it from my terminal for you to actually be able to see it, so that won't complicate you. But now I want us to quickly go set up a pipeline and see how we can run with this. Are we still together? Just give me a minute. Okay, so that is it. Then there's something I wanted to quickly walk you through so that during your interviews you'll be able to have a proper answer. Is that when we are creating this, right? When we do Terraform, now I did Terraform init to initiate, to download whatever it is that's needed on my machine. Terraform plan, because I wanted to see what's going to create there. Apply is actually the main word, Terraform apply. Now, when I do Terraform apply, right, let's just apply it again. It's going to tell me I want to create this, and it's going to create it anyway. So I can create it as many times as I want, and I can destroy it as many times as I want from my code, right? But how does Terraform know what you already have, so that it will not keep reapplying and reapplying and reapplying? That is what we call, so I'm going to say yes. That is because Terraform has what we call state management. What is a state management? It's kind of it keeps, so like Terraform is like it has a memory, right? It keeps, so this is the state. Let me just show you so that we'll not talk too much. Currently, because I'm running from my machine, right? The state is actually on my local machine. I didn't set up states. Can you see? So if I come to Terraform, can you see? It already has this state of this is what this person have. Are you getting that? This sorry, this is my Terraform state backup, but this is my Terraform state. Can you see? You can see here, show resource. It says, see, oh, Victory have resource. What resource does Victory have? She has a AWS VPC. She called it main. Are you saying now? This is where she got it from, and this is it, and this is it, and this is it. Can you see it now? So it's just giving me like, oh, this is what I have for now. Are you saying now? That's the resource. Like, and what are the things that are likely to be in this resource, even though I don't like have them here, right? So this is my resource, and this is the resource type, right? So this state file, now I've applied, right? I've applied this Terraform. And if I go again to my terminal and I refresh, right? I'm going to see my VPC, right? Now, if I come again and apply again, what do you think will happen? It will tell me there's nothing to apply. It's able to know that, well, this code you have, I already have it because of this state file. You will see, it will tell you nothing to apply because it will check the state file, check the code say it wants one VPC, check the state file say, oh, it has already created one VPC. It therefore means I have nothing to apply again. Do you guess? So that's how it's able to. But now see, look at this, no changes. Can you see the error? Not error, can you see the output? No changes. Your infrastructure matches the configuration. Do we understand it now? Terraform has compared your real infrastructure against your configuration and found no difference. So no changes are needed. You understand it now? So it checks what you have against again what you are trying to do, and you say, okay, fine, you don't have, there's no change, right? So let's quickly make one change before we actually set up our Terraform. So now we have our VPC. But remember, after we had VPC, the next thing is that we had two subnets, two private subnets and two public subnets. Can we remember? So let's just quickly add those subnets. How do we go? I told you, simple. You don't need to cram it. If you know it, fine. But because as you continue to do something over and over again, you mastered it, right? But apart from that, we're just going to come here. Then we're going to say subnets. Sure, let's call it VPC subnets so that it will just take us to the I say there's something like VPC subnet. So let's just do subnets, right? So we go, we want subnets, AWS subnets. Okay, no, it's AWS subnets. Yeah. AWS subnets. No, that's why I want. No, this data. This for data. This is when you are calling it, right? Resource under VPC good. Where's AWS default subnet? So we have AWS subnet, right? And this is it, right? This is subnet. This is how we declare subnet. You know, your subnet have to be an offshoot of your VPC. So I'm going to just grab this, right? And of course, I won't be covering into iteration whereby you can loop and do a lot of iteration so that we're not confused or we have limited time, right? So I'm just going to come here. You see now, another block. This is my subnet, right? I can still call it main, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But what is my VPC ID? You know, I already have a VPC ID output. Is either I do this or I just use the output of the other one, right? So I'm going to do this subnet, but I'm going to do 4 of these subnets, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You can actually iterate towards it. You don't have to paste 4 subnet like this, right? But I'm going to say this one is going to be week 4 subnets. Let's do this, Control C. So this is going to be week 4 subnet, week 4 subnet. Let's call this one private, right? But we also want it in a particular region, right? Like availability zone, right? So, but let's do this week 4 private. I will come here again. We want 2 private subnets, but in EUS1A and EUS1B. So I'm going to do private again. Let's just say 2A, right? AZ2A, let's put AZ, that's availability zone 2A. So this one will be AZ, right? 2B, right? Let's just do that. Then going to grab this. We're going to make this one this, but this one will be public. And where is the other one? Oh, is it okay? This one will also be public, right? Public. Hope they don't have the same name. So this one is AZ2A, right? Or private 2A, 2A, public 2. Let's make this one 2B. But how me specifying this is just a tag. This doesn't really put it in any location, that private or public. But if we go to the documentation again, right? So remember I told you to tell you argument reference. What and what can we put? We can put availability zone. Can you see? So this is where we can actually specify the availability zone, right? We can specify the region. They are all optional. Everything here is all optional. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to pass in the availability zone, right? So I'm going to just go grab this availability zone because it can accept this parameter. Let me use that word parameter. So after I put my CIDR, and of course, this CIDR are going to, of course, it's not going to work. They are going to loop. So if I'm using dead.0, if this one is 1, I'm just going to make this one 2. Then this one, that one will be 3. Because I'm using /24 CIDR, then this one will be 4, right? Then after I've done this, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pass in my availability zone, and it's going to be EU West 1, EU West 2, right? EU West 2, this one should be B, right? So I'm just going to grab this, Control C. So this is EU West 2B. So this one should be EU West 2A. Yeah, this should be EU West 2A. Then the same thing. This is US2B. So let's do this. Paste this. Actually, if you, I don't think I have most of all those IntelliSense. If not, if you have all those IntelliSense, if you just do saving it alone, will give you Terraform FMT to format it for you and all. So if this is EUS2A, then this should be EUS2B, right? So we've added this, but remember, you creating a subnet does not, and giving it tag of private and subnet, and private and public does not make it. What make it is either the NAT gateway, the route table, and what the public sub and the NAT gateway, the route table, and the internet gateway. So let's say we have this, right? Yeah, with this now, what do you think we'll do? We have to do run Terraform in it again. Now I'm going to come again. I'm going to save this. Let me save it, right? And oh man, I don't like when this thing do this overrides. Okay. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do Terraform init again, right? Terraform init. So, oh, resource AWS subnet configuration. Okay, because I'm using the same name, sorry. So, see, I'm using main, so it's not able to differentiate between this one and this, right? But yeah, and I've not even explained the VPC ID to you. So let's put this one. Is this one private or public again? What do we call it? Let me see. Okay, let me just call this one private, right? The name you call here doesn't matter because this one is just like an identifier for Terraform to be able to identify each of the different resources, but they must be unique. But the name doesn't matter, right? So, especially if they must be unique because of the same resource, because of AWS subnet. But I can have try to call this one main if it's only one. So let me just call this one private 2B, right? Just to identify private 2B. Then the other one will be private 2A, right? So where's other privates? If this private 2B, where's my private 2A? Oh, public. Okay, private, yeah, right? So let's do this one. So this private 2A, right? Then we have this one will be public 2B, and of course public 2A. Where is it? Oh, main. Where is the other main? Yeah, so this one will be public 2B. Public 2B. Was it 2B? We called it down private 2B, public 2A. Am I missing this thing up? Can we see my screen? Help if I'm missing it up. So if we say this one is 2A, but availability zone is 2B. Okay, I think I missed this availability zone. This is supposed to be 2A. Okay. So, okay, so with this now, let's try and see again if it's going to run. We're going to clear our screen. Then we're going to do Terraform init again, like Terraform to initialize and see. So Terraform is actually going to init. If the initialization works, we're going to just run plan. Plan will tell you what and what we are creating. In this time around, plan will tell us that we are creating 4 resources, and it's going to tell us that we are creating 4 subnets, right? And after we do plan, then when we do apply, it will actually apply those 4 subnets. So let us do plan. But instead of doing plan, we're not going to apply, because when you run apply is actually still going to give us plan, right? So why that is being said, like I told you before now, why this one is going on, I told you before now that we have our state file here, but it doesn't work because when you are working in an organization, you are not the only one working on that code. A lot of people are working on that same code. Do you understand? You are working on the code, I'm working on the code, and a lot of people are working on the code. You get what I mean? So we don't want the state to be on your local machine, right? You are supposed to, so you can see 4 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. It's going to be adding 4. And what are the 4 is going to be adding? It's going to be adding 4 subnets, right? So we're just going to say yes. And there you go. Our 4 subnets should be ready. Can you see? Our 4 subnets is ready. Go back here again. Go back to our AWS. Can you see our VPC? Where's our VPC? This is our week 4 VPC. Now, when you click on that VPC, you can see it has 4 subnets. Can you see? And really, you can see, right? Oh, they've even created a route table for us, right? So it has a route table. They are all connected to, because they are all connected to a default route table, but there's no network connectivity. Can you see? So we have our can you see in EU West 2A and EU West 2B? In EU West 2A, we have private and public. In EU West 2B, we have public and private. Can you see this now? Very nice and clean. So we're just going to create another route table. Then we are going to create NAT gateway, VPC, and all. But we have a lot to cover. So let's try and move with the speed of light. We are going to actually be creating GitHub. We are going to be pushing this our code now to GitHub. So let me see if I can log into GitHub here. Just give me a minute. Let me see GitHub. Okay, yeah. Let's do this. Just I don't even know if I can push to this GitHub. I don't know the credentials again. No. I do this. Yeah, you're laughing at me that I don't know the credential. I don't think I do. I don't. This account does not support password. Okay, so let's log in with the yeah. Okay, see people that are laughing at me. Okay, so let me quickly get the OTP if I remember. GitHub OTP, forget techie, where are thou? Yeah, I think I do. Right, then 657. Yeah, here we have. So this is actually our training account. So maybe that's why I forgot the. Okay, so with this now, right? See what we are going to do. We are going to create. So this is a GitHub for those of you that are new to GitHub. This is a GitHub account. We want to like push those code. You know those code that are on my local machine. I can't share them with you. If we are collaborating together, we can't really collaborate. You get what I mean? So what we are going to do. What we are going to do now is that I'm going to push that code. But before I push that code, I'm going to create a repository first, right? So I'm just going to click on new repository, right? Then my new repository is going to be, what did we call the name of the repository? Get Seki week 4. Week 4. Don't know what we say. Week 4 IAC. Doesn't really matter, right? IAC. So you see, get taken with 4 IAC. Now, of course, when you are working in an organization, no organization leaves their repository. No, your repository is actually it's expensive. You are paying engineers to write this code for you. You are paying either DevOps engineer, cloud engineer to do this. So you don't want your repository to be like public, and someone like me, anybody can just browse it from the internet and just see all your code. Nobody wants to see your application code. That's why you can't see people's application code. This is the setting. Once it's private, it means that if you don't have access, if you are not authorized, you cannot see it. Then if you make it public, anybody can see it. Do you understand now? So this is actually how it works. If it's public, anybody can see it. But when you are working in an organization, please never make any organization code private. It shouldn't be negotiated, right? But I'm going to make this public because I'm going to share in this repository because we are going to be completing it, right? So I'm going to make this one public and I'm going to click on create repository. Now, when you create repository, let me quickly walk you through this, right? When you create repository, this is actually how you will do your git init, git this to be able to get. So you see this line of code, I'm actually supposed to go to my Visual Studio Code, now do all this git thing, right? And I can now do git push. Once I do git push, I will see the code on my machine. It will appear here. But for me to do that, I have to configure my laptop to this GitHub credentials, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do a shortcut. I'm going to do one. Wait, can I even do the shortcut anymore now? So I have my You can see I have my repository now, but it's an empty repository, right? So I'm going to just quickly, I want to do copy and paste, right? So I'm just going to quickly create a new file. You can see either I create a new file or I upload an existing file. Are you getting that? We recommend that every repository involve a README file. So see what I'm going to do. I'm just going to create let me upload an existing file, right? And we can actually drag the files here, but I'm going to be browsing to the files, right? I know I'm doing this, but normally on a standard way, you're supposed to configure your terminal to be able to communicate to Git, because you are going to keep working on Git, right? So I think we kept this thing here, and we call it get AC, and this is the files we have. Now, in and know that this is the file we have, it's not the file we need. We just need the main. Remember, we just needed the main and what the provider. This actually, every other one is just talking about the Terraform state, right? So if I open this now, right, you can see I now have my file here. Then I'm just going to commit. Commit is you are pushing it to Git for Git to be able to recognize it. Now I want to now show you where the issue is. Immediately I commit like this. Are you seeing it now? And I did not come with the state, and I did not properly manage the state. If I do Terraform apply, you see this code, this VPC is going to create another VPC for me, and it's going to create those 4 subnets for me because it doesn't recognize that state. Do you get? So another thing I want to do now, I want to start continuing what we are doing. I want to start continuing it on this ID. So I'm just going to press dot on my phone, on my lap, on my keyboard, like a period dot. So there's actually a code editor that looks exactly like Visual Studio Code on your web browser. So you don't really need, can you see? It's like I'm opening Visual Studio Code on my web browser. So I don't really need. Are we still together? Please don't give up on me. I know it's hard.
Again, this last thing.
Okay, I said, I was actually working locally on my machine, right? So yeah. I said I wanted to move the work. I wanted to move it away from my machine, right? And I wanted to move it to GitHub. I want to start working in the cloud so that I can invite you to collaborate with me. We can collaborate together, right? So after I created a GitHub repository. A GitHub repository is actually what you create so that this code will leave your local machine. Because code is not doing anything on your local machine. Yeah, you are doing this, but this is not standard, this is not recognized. I just wanted us to wet our feet to understand that, oh, this is what is possible. But now I'm moving the code away from my local machine, and I'm now putting it in a remote repository so that I can invite Theodora, like Theodora I've invited, come. And immediately I send you invite, you get invite that you have been invited to this repository, and you can actually contribute. Meaning, as I'm writing code, you're also writing code. Although we need to understand what we call Git branching strategy, and we also need to understand how 2 of us can write code without conflicting each other. Do you understand what I mean? But now, I've now pushed this code. Normally, I'm just supposed to come here and do Git init, and then Git add, Git branch, create a new branch, then Git push. Once I do Git push, all this code here, they will automatically be pushed to this GitHub repository that I created. And I say I don't want that because I will have to configure that Git of that account on my own local machine, which I don't want because that account is just a training account and I don't want many Git conflicting, right? So I now just created it and uploaded those files we already have. This is the file we already have. This is the code we have been working on. Yes or no? This is our code, right? So I now told you that even on the browser, there's a way I can actually have a browser, like a VS Code, a browser version of VS Code on my browser. Do you understand? See, I can still come here, but I have to now, maybe for me to use terminal, I have to now use GitHub code spaces. Do you understand? Or I will have to work on the local clone. I can decide to use GitHub code spaces so that I can still work with terminal. Do you get? Just go that it's going to open code spaces for me, and I'm going to configure code spaces and all. Can you see? It's opening your code spaces. It asks me how many gig do I want? Yeah, 4 gig. Yeah, see, usage paid by. I don't want to pay, so I'm just going to leave it because I don't want to pay. Do you get? But let us leave it like this, right? So we'll not be using terminal. But we are going to now be doing what we call, we are going to be creating a workflow, the CICD, so that when we make those changes, right? When we make those changes, it's actually, we're able to see the changes. We're able to now run pipeline and see those changes on our accounts. So let me quickly go back. I think I have, where's our PowerPoint again? Yeah, so you can see on our PowerPoint. So like I told you, now I have the state of my local machine. If I push that code again, it's going to recreate those things because it does not recognize I already have them, which is wrong, right? So I'm going to create an S3 bucket and a DynamoDB, and I'm going to make my Terraform state. You see that state that I was writing to my local machine to start writing to a central remote place, so that even if you clone my code, it comes with this, it knows the state, it knows where the state is in. It knows that the state is on AWS S3. So that's what we're going to be quickly doing. So we're going to create another file. I will call it backend.txt, right? And this is our backend, but we are going to create an S3 bucket, right? And we are going to create a DynamoDB record, and we're actually going to lock this state file, and you will see. Then from here now, from my terminal, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to destroy all the things we've created before. Terraform destroy. So now, how many things do you think it's going to destroy? It's going to destroy 5 things. Do you get what I mean? It's going to destroy 5 things, right? Are we still together? They have left me. Oh. So I'm destroying this. The reason why I'm destroying this, so that when I run it from the pipeline, everything is smooth and all of you can actually run it from that pipeline. So while the destroy is going on, I'm just going to quickly go to AWS, and I'm going to create an S3 bucket. We've created the S3 bucket numerous times, so it should be familiar now, right? So I'm going to come to S3, create an S3 bucket. I can just get techie with for Terraform state management. Let's call the name of that bucket that. Get techie with from Terraform state management, right? So click on create buckets. We are familiar with this by now. There is going to be get techie week 4, right? IAC state file. Let's put it like this, right? So that the name, remember I told you the name must be unique, right? So hopefully this name is unique enough. Then I'm just going to go, I'm going to create this bucket. That's just what I need. Then I'm going to make sure I grab this bucket's name, right? Have I created? So let's come back to our code. I told you on our code, we are going to create another file, and we are going to call it backend dot what? TF. Meaning what we are simply doing, this configuration we are simply doing now is that, oh, the backend now, instead of writing the backend, if we don't supply it, it's going to write to the local storage or wherever you are running the code from. We're now saying, okay, now we want you to start running. So we're going to say yes. Can you see now? 0 to plan, 0 to add, 0 to change, and 5 to destroy, because it's going to destroy the VPC and the 4 subnet. So we're going to say yes, destroy this, right? But we are not scared that we are destroying what we worked out to create, because we just know that once you just do Terraform apply, it's up and running again. Are we still together? I think the timing we set for this thing is not right. We are doing real life work, and we are covering ourselves to just to be time bound. So yeah, I'm going to do this. And where is it? Good. So I'm going to just copy this. Already added it. Then go back to our. See, this is our code, so I'm going to paste it here, right? So what it simply means, if you Google it actually, if you check Terraform backend, this is how you see. So we are using S3 to store our Terraform state, meaning the configuration, that's the memory that Terraform needs to be able to know what it has created before and what it needs to create. That's what we are doing. So we are storing it in our backend, right? S3. What's the name of our S3 bucket? So we'll pass the name of our S3 bucket here. Can you remember the name of our S3 bucket? I think the name of our S3 bucket is yeah, this is the name, right? We're just going to grab this, right? Copy, then we'll come back here. We're just going to change this name, right? So this is the name of our S3 bucket. Then we want it to be VPC, yeah, prod. That it's just going to show you the path. The path is going, the key is the path is going to write down. Then our region, remember we are using what? EU West 2, right? So then we're also going to quickly create, this one is not hard, don't worry. We're just going to create a DynamoDB, and we're just going to set the state log file. The reason why you set state log file on DynamoDB is that, for example, myself and Theodora, we are working on this code together. If I'm making Terraform changes, I'm running the pipeline, and Terraform is making changes, she should not be able to make changes. If not, it's going to corrupt the state we have, right? Imagine I want to create an S3 bucket with Terraform, and she's also creating an S3 bucket with Terraform. And if they have the same name, it's going to corrupt because like it's not in sync. So it's going to lock the state whereby as I'm creating, Theodora cannot do anything until I'm done before she will not be able to do. Do you understand? So it's kind of help us keep things in check. So, excuse me, I'm just going to create this bucket. I think I should already have it, but I'm just going to create this DynamoDB. DynamoDB is a kind of document DB. I think we just brushed a little about it before. So I'm just going to come here and do DynamoDB. If I have a state bucket before, I think if I have a state log before, it's not I just create a table and put the name of the table and that's it, right? But I'm just going to use, if I have any state bucket before, I'm just going to use that so that I'm not flood. So I'm going to come to tables, right? And if I think I have a table for state log before. Yeah, Terraform state log victory. So I'm just going to use this table anyway. It doesn't do anything, just create a table, right? And just this thing should just be the log ID, that's all. So I'm going to come here and that is it. So with this now, Control V. So with this now, I've configured my backend. It therefore means that I don't need to be scared of any Terraform states here again, because now that I've done this Terraform delete, if I check the states now, there is really nothing. Can you see resource is empty? Now there's no resource again. Resource is empty. This state file is empty. I can gracefully delete this state file now. These are the backup. It keeps a copy of the backup in case, but you can see I don't have any resource here. So these ones we are all good to go. We can destroy it now. Now the next thing now is that we've done this. I say we want to create a pipeline, a GitHub action pipeline, so that whenever we make changes, right? Whenever we make changes or what have you, is able to like we can actually run those changes on our Terraform, right? And it's able to, like, we can actually do some Terraform run and it's able to run the pipeline and give us that. So I'm just going to quickly grab, I think I have don't have any Terraform this thing before. Or so for you to create a pipeline in GitHub Actions, right? You create a folder. The name of the folder is called .github. It's a standard, right? So when you do .github, then we are going to inside that .github, we are going to have workflows. W-O-R-K. So this is actually how GitHub recognizes you to create workflow. Then inside this folder, we can now create a file, right? And call this file deploy.yaml, right? So now our workflow is written in YAML, right? Like it's a YAML folder. I know I'm not going too far, but I also hope you understand, right? So our workflow is a YAML folder, right? So see what we are going to do. We are going to actually quickly write a workflow, right? Another thing is that you can go to GitHub Actions. Let me even show you. Let me duplicate this. You can go to your GitHub, go to Actions, right? Let me show you. Let's go back to our GitHub now. Let me go back to GitHub. You see this GitHub. This is our GitHub. This is our files we have, right? You see the other file, that's the other backend, is not showing here because we have not committed it. Can you see? It's showing green, meaning we have not committed it. For me to commit, it's showing that I even have 2 files not committed. So for me to commit it, I'll come here and write the commit message. What is my commit message? I can just say added backend, right? Backend for state management. Now, as an engineer, as a cloud engineer, Your commit also matter. Don't just say update. I know most of you are done. At this point you say update. Your commit message will also make someone to understand the changes in the code you make and what you did. Now say that now that I've committed that now, if I come here and refresh that file, those other files now, they will now be here. And it can show me history. This is what we call commit history. Are you saying now? The first commit, I just say added files by upload. But the second commit, I show added backend for this. And if I click on it, it's going to show me what and what I added. Can you see? It's showing that, oh, this was what I added in this commit. Can you see? And this was the things I created in this commit. Can you see it now? So it's going to show me at every commit. So whoever make changes is going to tell you that this person make change to this commit, this person make change to this commit. Do you understand? So that's actually there about that. So we are going to go to actions. I said I want to show you actions, right? Did I create a okay? Yeah, because our workflow is empty. Sorry, our action is empty. There's nothing in it, right? So that's why it's showing this. And it's going to tell us that our workflow is invalid. This workflow, it should be an invalid workflow. No event trigger is defined. So we didn't trigger anything, right? But if I come to actions, there's actually a marketplace, right? I hope I can remember. I've not really used GitHub for a while now. There's actually a marketplace whereby you can where's the marketplace? Oh, whereby you can actually see templates that they have, right? You can actually see the templates that they have, and you can actually make use of those templates. I hope where is the actual marketplace now? New workflow. Okay, let me click on new workflow and see. Okay, yeah, this is it. So it's on new workflow. Can you see? Deploy Node.js, in case you want to deploy Node.js to Azure, deploy AWS, CCS. Can you see? See Terraform. This is it. If I click on this now, like I want action for Terraform, it's actually going to give me the Terraform code. Are you getting that? That I need. And now I can actually configure Terraform. From Terraform, FMT, Terraform plan, Terraform init. Do you understand it now? So you can see that this is how I can actually run my Terraform. Do you get it now? So what we are going to do, right? Because we already have, yeah, we can even use this workflow, right? But we are going to edit this their workflow, right? We are going to remove all the things that are not important, like this work, all these comments. Let's just remove it for. Then you see, the name is Terraform, and we want that when you make a push to main, you see this name on push main. When you push to main, right? That's when you should read, right? You should have a permission to read, right? Then what is the job? The job is to run Terraform. We can just say environment production, but we are not really after environment because we didn't configure environment, right? The job is to run Terraform, right? So our default bash is our default is bash, right? What does it do? Check out your code. Meaning, does your code, it actually copied all your code and put in the runner. That's just what this guy means. Then set up Terraform on that machine, right? You set up your Terraform on that machine, right? So yeah, with it set up Terraform, then run Terraform init, it run Terraform apply the plan, right? So but we also wanted that it should be also able to log into AWS, right? So I'm going to come here after I check out the code and it set up Terraform, right? I want before I start running Terraform init, I want it to be to log into AWS. I can just come here and do AWS, right? AWS credentials, and it's going to give me AWS credentials for configure AWS credential for GitHub Actions. It's going to actually tell me how I can configure AWS credentials. Are you seeing now the line of code I need to run to configure AWS credentials is actually going to give them to me? Are you seeing now? So you can actually say, oh, AWS credentials configure, right? So I can specify my region, specify my secret key and access key. If I'm using AWS secret key and access key, right? I can actually use role, IAM role. So we can use secret key and access key like that one we created before. But I told you, like what we're talking about, we say IAM role is easier. So we can actually define and configure IAM role. Are you seeing now? So where is it now? This is so chunked up. I don't want this. I don't want this. So let's go back. Let's go back and I don't want to cancel this change. So yeah, let's go back to marketplace. Yeah, so credentials, where is it? AWS credentials. Oh no, I thought we got that. Okay, so AWS and AWS credentials. We want credentials for IAM, right? AWS credential actions. This action is too much. No, now. It's too much. I don't want this. Okay, we are going to do copy and paste, right? But it's actually very simple. It's just to configure it with IAM. So at this point, let's commit this. Then we are going to, this is going to also fail. So let's just commit these changes. Let's use the normal URL. So we are going to say we created the Terraform workflow, right? Let's just leave this. We commit these changes. Now that we have committed these changes on our main, right? Let's refresh again. Yeah, so you can see on our GitHub workflow, we have our declare.yml, then we have Terraform.yml. These are the one we created. And you can see if you check the pipeline has actually started running, but it's going to fail because, like, what am I doing? Can you see? It's going to fail that, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, because where at what stage did it fail? Terraform in it is initiating Terraform against. What happened to my state file? Duplicated parameter, DynamoDB. The parameter dynamo table is duplicated. Use parameter. Use lock. Can you see my parameter is duplicated? But I used it recently. Okay, so you can see it's actually telling us our parameter is duplicated, right? So we'll go back here, come back to our folder, come back to, you see, it's only this one that is here, right? But if we also like, either we refresh this or you do git pull, right? Just use this arrow to refresh it. We'll now be able to see that Terraform is here. So we can come here. He said that this parameter, where is it called? DynamoDB is not, so we are going to use state lock. Yeah, so this is the new one now. Then come on, pull. It's not pulling. Why is it not pulling? Let me refresh. You know, we are using it's supposed to be able to pull so that we'll see our Terraform pipeline. Are we still together? Hey, time again, no. So okay, see our Terraform pipeline now, right? So and now we've corrected this one that it threw error on. So we are going to come to this. So we'll delete this one, right? This one is empty. So we're going to delete this one. Allow, right click. Then we're going to delete this one, right? We don't need it anymore. Let's just use this Terraform.yml. But you see this pipeline. So this is what we've done. But now we want to be able to, we install before Terraform in it, we want to be able to log into AWS, right? So we're just going to come here and do login. It's a comment, right? Let's put a comment and say login to AWS with IAM role. Should you even use IAM role, or should just use secret key and access key? Let's use secret key and access key. In your project, you are going to use IAM role, right? Let's use secret key and access key because we already have it. Remember, we already have it, right? With secret and access key. And I'm going to show you how you can do that, right? So there's actually action. So you can just say action, go to Google and do action for AWS login with secret key and access key. Right? We are not, let's see. Let me zoom this for you to see. So we want GitHub Actions for AWS secret key and access key. Although they will try and discourage you, right? Oh, we just said action. We didn't say GitHub Actions. So we want GitHub Action for AWS secret key and access key. So people have already written most of these actions, right? They will just show you how you can use it. So you just scroll down and you see the usage. Oh, come on, where is usage? Usage. I say secret key and access key now. Okay. Oh, this is with IAM role. I want with secret and access key. It's like you are going to pass in the secret key and access key. Where is it? This is also with IAM role. Where is secret key? Okay, so this is with secret key and access key, right? Yeah. So let's do this, right? And we're not assuming role. So you see this secret key and access key. It will also be an opportunity for me to also teach you how you can pass in credentials safely on GitHub Actions, right? So I'm going to do this. So we're going to configure AWS credentials. We'll go back to our pipeline, right? We'll paste this. Make sure it's well formatted. Then we are going to say you should log into, of course, our region is EU West 2, right? EU West 2, right? So now, if he's running this, he's going to look for secret key and access key, right? Which we already have, remember, but we are now going to go back to our repository. You do this at your repository level. But if you are working in an organization, you can configure at organization level. You see, this is our repository. I'm going to come to settings, right? If I come to settings, I'll go down to, you see, secrets and variables, actions, right? I'm going to click on actions. I want to create action. I'll click on create environment secrets, right? New environment. I can call the name of the environment and all. Or no, I don't want. Let me not go that route. So let's just go back to set secrets and variables. I just want to create the secrets, actions, right? So secrets, right? Yeah, environment secrets. So I'll click on new secrets. What's my secret name? This is my secret name, AWS secrets ID. Did I close that? I think I closed it, so I won't be able to get it. But we downloaded it. So remember, I told you when we created that IAM role, we downloaded the credentials. So if I go to my download, I should be able to actually see an Excel file. So I'm opening up the Excel file for you to see. I'm going to delete it at the end of this anyway. So that's where we actually see our secret key and our access key. So you can see the Excel file. You can expand it. Let me just increase it for you to see. Right? Then you can just expand it like this. Are you seeing that? So this is my secret key. I'm going to copy, go back to our actions, right? Then paste this here, right? Then save. This is write only, meaning once you've written it, you cannot edit it again. As in you can't see what is on it. See, I've created it, but you can't see the value. So I'm going to come again, new secrets. And what is my second secret? It's going to be AWS. Can you see? I'm not putting that secret because this wrapper just showing that is a secret in GitHub, and you should look for this secret, and it's going to extract that value. So I'm going to go back now. This is the new very key name. Then what is the value? This is the value. So I'm going to copy this. Make sure you copy it properly. Then I'm going to come back here and we're going to paste this, right? Then I'm going to click on add secret. Now that I've added secrets, I will now come back to this, my code, right? So I've added this and I've said that this is the secret you should use, right? So that when you use this secret, when you log into this AWS credential account, when you're now doing all this Terraform, you need Terraform plan and Terraform apply. Are you seeing now? And we auto approve. Unlike before, when we do Terraform apply, right? We need to say yes, but now we have set it to auto approve. So now we are going to commit this code again. And remember, we are going to say added pipeline actions, right? Actions to run Terraform. I know I'm just doing magic in people's eyes right now. They're like, what is this? What is this person even doing? So now that we've pushed, if we go back to our GitHub and we click on actions, we actually see that our pipeline is running. Can we say our pipeline is running? So that's why you iterate, right? But now, once you set your pipeline and is able to actually deploy to AWS, you can follow up what it's doing. So let's click on it. It has failed again. Can you see it has failed? At what point did it fail? Let's go. So it failed at, it was able to configure, so it configured our AWS, but it still failed at Terraform init, right? And it's like, use state log, inappropriate value. Use log file, a boolean is required. Okay, so use log file, meaning a boolean is required. So use log file shouldn't be this, right? But rather we should just say use log file. Yes, maybe we don't use DynamoDB anymore. Can't remember the last time I worked like this. I used Terraform Cloud. So I'm going to come back here again. Are you seeing the iteration? I'm going to come back here again, right? Come back to my backend. This is what it's complaining of. Now I say a boolean is required. Use log file. I'm just going to say yes, right? So sorry, boolean is either true or false, don't mind me. So I'm just going to say true, right? So let's do this, right? Or we can do it on a wrapper. Come on, it should recognize that a boolean. Okay, so let's do this, right? It's going to recognize it now. What do you do again? You commit again. You write the message of what changes you made, right? Used log file, yeah, boolean, right? So I'm going to commit this, right? So I'm going to push. If you push again, immediately you push, the pipeline start running again. Do you understand? So did you commit and push? Okay, it's out of sync. Yes, pull, then we push. So most time you have to pull, like in case you've made any change outside of anywhere, then you now push your changes, right? So hopefully so you go back again and you go to your pipeline and check. So it failed again. We have to now Google what is happening with our log file. So it's still on Terraform init and it's still complaining about our log file. And it says I use log file, variable not allowed. But you say we should use the variable. Okay, you know what? We are just going to remove that aspect, right? Since we don't want to use log file, let's remove this. Let's just use S3 JJJ and move on with our life. We don't have time. So remove log file. Can you see it? Removed log file, right? Then we are going to push and commit again. Then we'll go back to our actions again. At every time you push, you see the action keeps starting. Can you see that iteration? Are you seeing now? First is on queue. Now you will see it's running. It's execute every stage, right? See, it has logged into AWS. It's running Terraform init. Remember, like we were all running it. It's through an error again. Let's find out why it's through an error. Okay, so Terraform init successfully init, but after init, Terraform format to format the Terraform was successful. So Terraform plan, we've actually finished running this. So Terraform plan, it shows us what it's planning. Can you see? It planned this, that these are the things it's going to create. Can we see? And after that, we did what we call, did you apply? You didn't use the output file. Okay, that's fine. Then post credentials, checkout. Did you apply? Okay, Terraform plan. Why did you not apply? Okay, so let's go back and apply. So you can see is our Terraform code is working. Exactly what we're seeing on our terminal is what we are not seeing on the pipeline. It's telling us what it's going to create, right? So let's go back again and check our pipeline and see. So there's actually on push to main, right? Or on change infrastructure. Let's see, right? So we said that it's recommended to set up a require restrict status check, right? For Terraform Cloud and all, but we just want, okay, so if his name and his put Terraform apply, but we pushed now, auto approve, okay. Input is false. Yeah, it should apply. So let's see, maybe we are missing something, but let's go to VPC. But it did not apply, it only planned, it did not apply. So let's see why that bit of the code did not run. Because if you check our VPC now, what we still have is just, you know, we've deleted what we did set up from console. So you can see what we still have is just one VPC, right? Which is the older VPC to show that our Terraform plan did not run. So you see our pipeline was successful, but our Terraform plan did not run. And this is why. So we're just going to say Terraform apply, right? We're not going to do any check. We're just going to say Terraform should apply, right? Then it should auto approve, right? So we are going to save this again. So with this now, it should be able to apply. Let's see. So I'm going to come here again, right? What would be our commit message? Sometimes you commit and commit, you run out of commit message, right? So we can just say Terraform plan, Terraform apply, sorry, Terraform apply should run now. This is not a good commit message. Should run now. So because they applied the run before, right? So we commit and we push again. Immediately you push, you actually see your pipeline running again. Can we see? So you come to actions and you see your pipeline running. So while this is running, right, we are going to create, so you can finish up. I'm going to give you this code, you clone this code, then you are going to add the route table, the internet gateway, the NAT gateway, right? So while doing this, we're also going to quickly create an EC2 instance because that's actually the purpose inside the same VPC. So you go back again so that we'll finish what we are doing for today, so that I won't owe you people anything. So you go to EC2, right? You know, we are using documentation so that you understand what we are doing. So we want to create an EC2 instance, right? So you go to EC2, and we are going to create an EC2 instance. EC2, where thou? Yeah, AWS EC2. No, this is stop instance. We don't want to stop instance. EC2 instance. Okay, they don't call it EC2, call it instance. See? So instance, when you do instance, so AWS IAM from instance, look at it, AWS instance, right? So you click on it, and this is how you create an AWS instance, right? So this is when you are using from whatever data, right? But let's see. Oh, this IAM. Come on, give me a very simple EC2 instance. So this is when you have your VPC, you create your subnet. This is like almost everything. Then you see AWS instance, the AMI, depend on the AMI you are using, the instance type, right? What is your primary network interface? That's if you want to use network interface, right? Then your CPU credit limit. But we don't even want to go down. So we're just going to create a very simple EC2 instance so that we can actually see it, right? So I will do this. I'll grab this. No, not network interface. If you do create network interface. No, let's just create EC2 instance. Let it not be attached to anything so that you just see it, then you continue from there, right? So let's go back to our Terraform. Did our pipeline fail? Did this succeed? Our pipeline is successful again, but this time around, did they run Terraform apply? Let's see. So we'll go to our Terraform. You can see now it's run Terraform apply. Can we see? And when we check, it actually applied this Terraform. So that if we go back to our console VPC and we refresh, we should actually be able to see our VPC here. Can you see this now? And if we go to that S3 bucket we created, you will see that that is actually where it's now managing the state. Are we still together? Okay, so that's actually how you create it. And it's so beautiful because I can easily delete it. And anytime I want it, I just run that pipeline and it's up again. So that's actually the whole concept of automation, right? So just very quickly, I'm just going to go back to our code again. And on this code, right, I'm just going to create an EC2 instance, right? So I can still put it on this main.tf, right? I'm just going to drop my EC2 instance here so that we'll just see, right? So create my EC2 instance here. Then the AMI, I need to make sure I get the right AMI of this EC2 instance. This one will not work because this is from EUS2, right? So I get the AMI, I get the instance type, and that's what I need. I can remove all of this for now, right? So this is just the barest minimum I need. So I can just quickly go to AWS and go to EC2 and get the right AMI for that region, right? So I go to EC2, click on EC2. Then we go to AMI, right? So I'm just going to get the AMI for EUS2, right? So it will list a lot of AMI. I just need the AMI for my region, because AMI for one region is different from AMI in another region, right? So no AMI in this region owned by you. Did I say owned by me? I just want all AMI. So anyway, the another easier way to quickly get it. Let's go to this is my neighbor. Let's go to instance. Click
So
on
if you
launch
go back,
instance. Yeah, click
you
on
would have
launch
been
instance.
able to change it.
Okay, yeah, I'm running with time. Thank you for saying that. So we'll go to launch instance, right? Come on. So we go and we're going to grab this. Let's use Ubuntu, right? Doesn't really matter. But anyone we are using. So see what I'm looking for. See the AMI I'm looking for. Where is it? Can you see this for Linux? If I change to Ubuntu, can you see now? Let's change to Ubuntu. You see? So this is the AMI I was looking for. Can you see? So this AMI is what I'm looking for, right? Let it load up. Let's see. It's so slow. Okay. So from here, right? This is actually the AMI I'm looking. Come on, I should be able to copy AMI now, please. You know, one of my village person is here. He's my neighbor. He's always laughing. Okay, look at it. So this is our AMI, right? So we're just going to quickly grab this, the AMI ID, right? We copy this, take it back to our code, right? Take it back to our code, and we'll pass in this AMI so that we know that the AMI is right. And that is it, right? So if we save it now, of course we should tag it, right?
It's on EUS was 2. Change
No,
it.
this is just yeah, we can even remove this. This is a comment. Whenever you see this hash is a comment, so let's just grab it and remove it. Then let's tag it so that we'll be able to know the name, right? So we can first say tag, right? And what should be our tag? We say it should be equal to I'm going to do this. I'm going to say get techie week 4, right? Week 4. Week 4, what again did you call it again? Lab. Let's just do this, right? So if we do this now, right? Remember, at this point, all you just have to do is to what? We just created a very simple EC2 instance, right? This instance is actually going to be deployed because we did not even set up the network interface and all. So it's just going to deploy in a default subnet. It's not going to fall into our subnet. But just for time's sake, you will now be the one to configure it. If you follow the documentation, you'll be able to configure it to be in your subnet. Do you get what I mean? So I'm just going to use now. I'm going to break my own rule of don't use updated. So let's use updated, and you push. And remember, immediately you push again, what happened? You go to actions. If you go up, go to actions, what happened? Your pipeline start running immediately. It tells you what it's doing. You can click on it to monitor what it's doing. It tells you what it's doing. You can see it's for innate. And now it has failed because when Terraform run FMT, that run Terraform format, the format, our main.cf is showing that no, our code is not properly formatted. And that is because the default region is EU. Okay, no, this is where is our FMT? So our code is not properly formatted. So Terraform threw that error, but it's not even telling us why it threw that error. Let me see. I know it has to do with our EC2 instance, right? So that is it. This EC2 instance is not well formatted. So Terraform is definitely throwing an error, right? So that is it. Any questions so far? Because when you are creating EC2 instance, let's quickly go back so that you understand what I mean. Remember what I told you about argument reference. It will tell you some things that are optional, and it will tell you some things that are required. I don't know why everything's suddenly optional, right? So if everything is optional, it should work, but we are not creating it properly. I think that is why. Yeah,
I think it's the syntax for the tag.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
the syntax for the tag. You are right. Thank you so much. The syntax for the tag. Thank you for that. My son is banging it also. So okay, so let's do this. So tag, right? I don't even want to do this again. So we are going to do this, then we are going to grab this, right? and we're going to do this, Control V. Then we remove this, right? Then, so this should work now, right? Remember, I told you don't use updated though, but I am permitted to use updated. So we do updated and we push again, and now we go and check. So you can see pipeline failing, succeeding, failing, succeeding. But after you've done this and everything works, like your pipeline really works, bringing up resource, of course, there's another extra workflow. You're not going to create another workflow that actually does the Terraform destroy. Do you guess? So you can just create a workflow just for Terraform destroy. But you could see it failed again, so that's fine, right? But what is it now? And it's not even telling us the FMT that is failing from. So let's check, come on. So yeah, instance type is T2 micro, AMI, tag. Oh, yeah, I closed the tag, right? Tag equal to, yeah, then name equal to this. Yeah, we close the tag, right? Did we? We close the tag and we close every other thing, right? So it should work. Let's see. This is our tag. We close the tag, right? And we closed the instance. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. Let's not take too much of your time. I'll leave the remaining troubleshooting for you to do. I hope it was worth your time. I hope you got value from this. So only today alone, we've looked at Terraform. We quickly covered Terraform, like speed of Terraform. We've covered GitHub, like a little of GitHub. We've covered GitHub Actions. We've looked at CI/CD pipeline. So I hope you got something out of it, right? So let's discuss on the group. If you have any question, ask. Once this video is ready, I'm going to upload it. Go through it. You see all these errors, make it work. I want to see your pipeline green, not just your pipeline green, but you have added the other resources, right? You add the other resource. Please do your work, do your project. It will really help a lot. Have a blessed day, everyone. And yeah, I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording, and see you on the group.